Another week. Oh man, feeling a bit under the weather as well, so I'm not best pleased with that. A little bit ill, so do bear with me this video. Sun's out weirdly enough in England. This time of year as well, especially, is a little bit cold. But we'll get into it. Match day 10. Good match day. Really good match day. A lot of good results as well. We'll get straight into it. So Friday night football kicked off at Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace versus Spurs, my beloved. So it was always going to be a game we were going to win. It was just literally a matter of how many we'd get. And we managed to get two pretty early in the second half. First half was a bit even. Ben Davies didn't really give the width that we obviously need, and that Udogie usually does. So obviously Postecoglou made the substitution, and then Emerson Morale came on and was a better fall for it. Brazilian tech in that, so obviously he can play both on the right side and the left side, and it gave us the balance needed to get through in the end. Crystal Palace's goal was a handball as well, by the way. So but yeah, we moved, still top of the league. Son banging form as well. I see Son scoring again on Monday as well against Chelsea, which we'll obviously get into a bit later on, but a big 3 points. The thing that's impressing me about my club at the moment is the fact that right now we've got a core, and that core is Romero, Van de Ven, Vicario, obviously the goalkeeper, leading up to Basuma. You got Madison, and then obviously up top you got Son. That's the main spine of the team now, and they're all important players, each one at one point or a time for their clubs previously have actually worn the captain's armband as well, which I read up about the other day. That I didn't know. So they've each sort of had that leadership. So no, it's really good. I'm enjoying everything I'm seeing at the moment, and I do think we're going to continue on in that vein when we play Chelsea on Monday. Moving on to Stamford Bridge. Speaking of Chelsea, they got beat 2-0 by Brentford. So this is Brentford's third win in a row at Stamford Bridge since they've come up to the Premier League. So safe to say they run West London at the moment. Chelsea just look a bit of a mess at the minute. They had a really decent upturn in results, but there's always going to be that, that lull you're going to get, and Chelsea seem to be back in it. Brentford were excellent on the day, must be said. Really good. Transitions are very good with Brentford. They get the ball from back to front very quickly. It's so good to see. Chelsea just look so slow. They look so sluggish. They took more than 2 touches every time they got onto the ball, while Brentford just literally picked them off at will. And that was sort of solidified in the last goal that they scored. Obviously, goalkeeper came up. They got the defending header, and then obviously they're back up at Chelsea with no goalkeeper. So that's how Mbama got his goal, and another 3 points for Brentford. And they'll probably go on a mini run now where they'll probably do about 2 or 3 games where they win a game, and then they might draw one here and there, they might lose a couple, and so on and so forth. It's the cycle. Yeah, as for Chelsea, there's not really much more to say about them. I'm hoping it's the same Chelsea that show up to us next week. And yeah, we'll obviously do what everyone else seems to be doing to them at the moment. But Chelsea, a whole world of hurt and trouble at the moment. On to the Emirates. We'll go Arsenal 5, Sheffield United 0. Formality result. Nketiah, I believe, getting his first hat-trick. There were a whole bunch of memes going on as well midweek that Nketiah was got his hat-trick before Marcus Rashford did, which I think is a bit funny and a bit cheeky at the same time as well. Excuse me. But yeah, Arsenal, I expected that result from them. Got a bit of a difficult one this weekend away at St James's Park. Nobody really wants to go there at the moment to try and pick them off a really decent Newcastle side. So that's going to be interesting. We'll obviously get into the ins and outs of that one a little bit later on when I do my predictions. But Arsenal with 3 points, and they stay second behind Spurs, currently on goal difference. Bournemouth 2, Burnley 1. That was from the Vitality Stadium. This one I actually called for a Bournemouth win, and they actually duly obliged. I just think Burnley are in a whole world of trouble at the moment. They've won 1 game, and that was at newly promoted Luton as well. So they've got that on the board, but they just can't seem to keep the ball. Their main problem is they obviously want to play the right way. They want to try and play attacking football. They have not got the personnel to do that. And it is going to cost them unless Vincent Kompany changes something dramatically. Defensively, they don't keep enough clean sheets to play the football they want to play. And literally every game they play now, they get picked off. I think they've conceded in every single game they played this season, which isn't a good look at all if you're trying to stay in this league. As for Bournemouth, yeah, it's a tough one for them because Bournemouth are actually quite decent last season under Gary O'Neill. Obviously, Iraola's come in. He's trying to implement a style, and a little bit similar to Burnley, they don't have the players to implement what he wants to obviously try to do. They've got a couple of really good ballers, don't get me wrong. They do need a few more. Whether that comes in January, nobody can tell me. But Philip Billing has come back, and that's massive for them, of course. Philip Billing, obviously, on the score sheet again over the weekend with a really, really well-taken goal. Halfway line-esque, and that's sort of David Beckham. And yeah, Bournemouth back on winning ways. That's their first win of the season, I believe. And I believe that takes them out of the relegation zone, does it? It might do. I have to look at the table, to be honest. But that's their first win of the season at Burnley's expense. Wolverhampton 2, Newcastle 2. That was on the Saturday night kickoff. I actually won a little bit of money in that game. Thank you to Sean Longstaff and your yellow card. Yeah, really good game. I like Wolves. I like Wolves a lot. Wolves are one of those under Gary O'Neill that like to play really good attacking football. However, they have lost their talisman in Pedro Neto, who went off, I believe, with a hamstring injury. It looked like a hamstring tear, to be fair, more than a pull. He got carried off as opposed to walking off. So there was no limp, obviously, but he got carried out. So it doesn't look too great. I haven't checked the results on that as yet. But at the moment, it's looking like he's going to be out until sort of past Christmas at this time. But no, really entertaining game. One of those games you look at and think, yeah, there's going to be lots of goals, lots of chances, and it duly delivered. Newcastle played their part in it as well. Callum Wilson on the score sheet again. Just seems to can't seem to stop scoring every time he gets into the pitch. But that's obviously what you need as a striker. Get your chances, put them away. Really good game. Both of them play really, really fast football. Bruno Guimaraes is brilliant for Newcastle, the things he does. So, you know, water carrier, but also could pick a pass. Quick transitions from defence to midfield up to the strikers, and then obviously you've got the wingers and Anthony Gordon and, you know, Almiron or Jacob Murphy or whoever they have there. Always giving width, which is good. Thing with Wolverhampton, they do the same. Ait Nouri, the left back, does the exact same thing. Pedro Neto on the right hand side. Nelson Semedo tries to get up as much as he possibly can as well, just to sort of dry it and join the attacks when Wolves are obviously on the ball. Matthias Cunha does amazing things when the ball's at his feet as well. He can drive and obviously beats a few players as well. They are a very, very good watch, Wolverhampton. Very, very good watch. And I'll be intrigued to see what they do over the course of the next few games, because I believe we are in that run-in as well with them. But no, really good game from Molineux. Sorry again. 2-2 draw, which was really, really, really good watch. Probably my game of the weekend, if I'm being honest. On to Super Sunday. We start at the London Stadium. That was West Ham 0, Everton 1. A very, very shock win there for Everton for me. I thought West Ham would have done a little bit more for my... Well, I thought it, but obviously Europe being in midweek and everything else, tired players, tired legs, it can happen. They just seemed off it. Souček, Soufal seemed really, really off it. Antonio off it. Benrahma off it. Lucas Paqueta off it completely. And Everton just took their chance. Great goal from Dominic Calvert-Lewin as well. He's playing himself back into fitness. I thought Abdullah Doucouré was incredible on the day. I thought... I think it's Mr. Branthwaite, the centre-back, was excellent as well. No, Everton were really, really solid and resolute and showed what they can actually do. They're a very, very decent side when they've got everybody fit. And when everyone's listening to the, you know, the sort of, you know, manager's instructions, everyone's on the same sort of, you know, sheet, if you will. Things happen. And they got a really good win at West Ham, which is not one that I actually predicted. I thought West Ham would go out there and get a 2-1 win, but I was wrong on that one, unfortunately. Good win for Everton, though. On to Brighton versus Fulham. Another one where I thought Brighton would pick up another 3 points, but Fulham, I didn't see this game. I only sort of saw the result, but that ended up 1-1 at the Amex. Again, that European hangover seems to hurt a few teams with not the biggest squads, and Brighton are no exception to this, and I can only put it down to that, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, Fulham at the best of times are just pests. That's all they do. They'll buzz around, they'll follow you around, you know, they'll try to nick the ball off you at every opportunity. They're one of those teams that do like to attack once everyone is obviously triggered. Once they break with the ball, they do bomb forwards. And I think that's pretty much what happened to Brighton, to be fair. Brighton, all the possession. Obviously, Fulham probably caught them on the counter. Again, not a game that I saw. It's just one I'm guessing has happened. But a very, very good draw for Fulham. Not so much for Brighton. But Brighton, again, are one of the teams I don't worry about. Probably one of the best teams to watch in the league with the ball. And then without it, to be fair, because they do actually hunt quite well to win the ball back. But on to Aston Villa, who were the other team in Europe who didn't have the hangover, so to speak. Luton were the visitors to Villa Park, and Aston Villa pretty much brushed them aside, 3-1. Very, very good result for them. Aston Villa at the moment are flying at the minute. It's ridiculous. Since the start of the season, they got thumped by Newcastle 5-1. They've actually come on heaps and bounds since then, and they actually currently sit 5th in the league at the moment. So they're in the mix. They will be in the mix coming into the season as well, provided they keep everybody fit. They are definitely going to be in the mix, and they've got a really good solid squad as well. Ollie Watkins hitting form at the right time. Douglas Luiz is in the form of his life at the moment. I don't remember a time when he scored so many goals, or has been sort of that player to obviously create so much. Most of everything that Villa do comes through him, which is strange because he's not that kind of player. But he's added that to his game, a little bit like Gundogan did for Manchester City last season. Obviously became clutch for them. That's kind of what Douglas Luiz is doing now for Aston Villa. Everything just runs through him. He's the hub, and obviously everything that comes good is obviously from what he's doing. But again, a very good result for Aston Villa. Luton, again, I fear they are going to go down. As much as I want them to stay, I don't see it happening. They don't pick up enough points. They are losing games left, right and centre as well. They can't seem to buy a win at the moment. But they are plucky. From the teams that have come up, they are the pluckiest. And they do tend to obviously try to stay in games as much as possible, but 9 times out of 10, the opposition is going to be too strong. And that's pretty much what the case has been pretty much all season for them. Liverpool 3, Nottingham Forest 0. Again, another one of those European sides that were in Europe. Didn't suffer a hangover. Liverpool visitors were Nottingham Forest to Anfield, and it was a formality again. Mo Salah on the score sheet again, along with Darwin Núñez. I believe Diogo Jota got on the score sheet as well. Again, a game I didn't see. It was one of those where I thought Liverpool would win, and it was at a whitewash. It was a bit of a canter. I might have maybe thought Nottingham Forest would get a goal at least, but no. To no avail, it would seem. And Liverpool go marching on, currently 3rd in the league, currently 4th in the league, sat behind Manchester City and Arsenal. And final game of match week 10, it was at Old Trafford. Oh, Man United fans. I don't know what to say or what to do with regards to you guys at the moment. I know you are perceived to be one of the biggest clubs ever in England. At the moment, you're playing like a malnourished Sunderland. I have no idea what's going on with you at the moment. Back-to-back 3-0 losses. Obviously, they lost 3-0 to Newcastle in midweek as well, so they kicked out the Carabao Cup. Manchester City and Haaland had you guys on toast, and it could have been more if it wasn't for Onana. Could have been 6 or 7, and I'm not even joking. That's not even me being rude. It's just fact. Manchester City absolutely wiped the floor with Man United, as I thought they would anyway. And to top it all off, Man United lost me a bet, as I only needed one more shot on target in the second half, and they did not get it for me. So you know what? Well deserved. That is my roundup for game week 10. Obviously, predictions for game week 11. We're going to start tomorrow. The first game is at 12:30. That is from Craven Cottage. It is Fulham versus Manchester United. Tough one, this one, because Man United are just... It's one of those grounds that Man United do like to go and get beat at. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win Fulham. Yeah, we'll go with a Fulham 2-1 win there. The G-Tech Stadium, Brentford versus West Ham. We're going to go with a Brentford win. I think that win at Chelsea has done wonders for Brentford. Yeah, and I think Brentford are going to come up trumps here again. I'm going to go with a 2-1 home win there again. Manchester City versus Bournemouth. That is from the Etihad Stadium. That's a formality win for me. Manchester City are going to win that at a canter. I'm going to go 4-0 Man City there. Sheffield United versus Wolverhampton. That is from Molineux. That is a Wolverhampton 1-0 win for me there. I think Sheffield United will obviously show a little bit more than they did last week at Arsenal, but I do believe Wolves are in the ascendancy here. Even without Pedro Neto, I believe they've got enough to go there and get a result. I'm going to go 1-0 Wolverhampton. Burnley versus Crystal Palace. That's from Turf Moor. We'll go with a draw on that one. 1-1 for me. Everton versus Brighton. That is from Goodison Park. I will go with a Brighton 2-1 win. Even though Everton seem to have found a little bit of form, I just think Brighton, one of those teams, is just, they know how to adapt, and they will adapt quite quickly. And I do believe that Brighton are going to go to Everton and turn them over. I'm going to go 2-1 there. Saturday Night Football is from St James's Park. Newcastle versus Arsenal. I think Newcastle are going to turn them over. I really do. Arsenal were not impressive midweek. They got beat, obviously, by West Ham 3-1. And I believe Newcastle will continue on their good form, especially after beating Man United midweek as well. And I believe that's going to be a 2-1 win to Newcastle. Nottingham Forest versus Aston Villa. That is from the City Ground. That is, for me, an Aston Villa win. We're going to go 2-1 there as well. A lot of 2-1 wins. There's going to be a lot of both teams to score in a lot of games. Apart from this next one, which is Luton versus Liverpool from Kenilworth Road. That's on Super Sunday. As was Nottingham Forest versus Arsenal, of course, incidentally. I will go with a Liverpool comfortable 2-0 win. Luton, again, will give a good account of themselves, but I just don't think they got enough to obviously turn Liverpool over. It's just not going to happen for me, and that's a 2-0 win for Liverpool there. And then the final game of the week, it is going to be Tottenham versus Chelsea. That's on Monday Night Football at 8 o'clock, live from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and that for me is a 2-0 win to Spurs, and I see Son being on the score sheet again there as well. That's my roundup. We will obviously start again next week. I'll be giving you a video, hopefully Thursday or Friday, where we will kick off with the first game of the weekend, which is Wolves versus Tottenham at Molineux. But until then, try to enjoy your weekend, enjoy your Friday night, and I will speak to you soon.